Hi and welcome to lesson 12. This is a subject that I am totally passionate about. I could spend a month full time talking about this, but I'm going to condense it for everybody's benefit. And it's about thinking like a marketer, getting your mindset right, because this is the missing link. And although it's ignored by most people, it's the main reason that most people fail. Now, back in lesson 3, I talked about the need to be willing to be a marketer. But now I'm going to expand on that idea because it's important to have a solid grasp on it before you dive into building your business. After this lesson, we'll be developing the vision and plan for your business. So I'm taking the time to cover this now before we begin, because I feel it's really an all too forgotten prerequisite for becoming a successful internet marketer. As I say, I would even say it is the missing link. If you don't have the correct foundations in place, your business is going to collapse before it even starts to get built. Most of these so-called gurus won't tell you this because they want you to buy this system or that system or package, claiming that all you need to do is plug it in and prosper. They're not going to tell you that the responsibility lies with you and that the foundation that you need lies within you. And until you get this part right, you won't succeed. The knowledge is all around you, and many failed marketers have more than enough knowledge to succeed, but they fail because they don't have the right mindset. I'm still constantly learning and making mistakes that also teach me how to become better. Now I can help you acquire the knowledge you need, but if you're not prepared to change who you are and start thinking in a different way, the knowledge will be useless. I was just watching an interview with someone who, after 3 years of struggle and making nothing, has since February, with a list of just 1,600 subscribers, now generated an income of over $30,000 in a single month this June. His knowledge has not changed. All that is changed is his mindset. Now I'll see if I can add a portion of that interview below. The interview is actually on one of my mentors' websites, a guy called Vic Stryso and his High Traffic Academy 2.0. This site is now one of my favourite places to learn, and I've been a member for several years. But now the value is constantly being enhanced, and so I highly recommend membership. No matter if you're totally new or an advanced marketer, it will repay you 1,000 times over as it has for me. Check out the free training from Vic in the link below, and then you'll be given an option for a discounted membership if you wish to join. Now, let me get back on my soapbox. I know that most of you watching this will say, oh, it's a load of nonsense, and that as long as you know what steps to take and you complete them, you'll get where you want to go. I am telling you now that you will not. If you have that attitude, you have it in common with over 90% of the so-called online marketers, and for some reason that matches the failure statistics. I've created ad campaigns that after testing and tweaking produce me a good profit. I've given those exact campaigns to others and they've made a loss. Neither they nor I revealed our identities. The only variable has been the mindset of the person running the campaign. This may sound like rubbish to you, but I've seen this over and over again. You'll need to change the way you think and understand that everything you want but do not yet have is waiting for you just outside your comfort zone. No doubt you'll have heard many stories of rags to riches success, how a person hits rock bottom and then becomes a totally different animal and a leader of men. It's because they got to a stage where living in their comfort zone was more painful than getting out of it. But not all people who hit rock bottom go on to massive or even partial success. For some, it is still more comfortable to stay there than to make the change. However, The good news is that you do not need to hit the bottom before rising to the top. All it takes is an acceptance and knowledge of where you are now and the burning desire to get where you want to go. It's just as important to know where you are and have gratitude for where you are as it is to know where you want to get to. Imagine trying to get to New York or London without knowing exactly where you are now. Should you go north or south, east or west? Pick any direction and the chances are it'll be wrong and you'll just travel in an endless circle, never reaching your destination, even though you have a clear idea of where you want to go. And the same applies to your business. First, you must take stock of where you are, accept full responsibility for where you are, and be fully grateful for where you are. Only then can you start to plan a journey to take you where you want to be. It will involve a change in the way you think and act, and you'll need to start thinking like a marketer and like the person you are to become. This, my friends, is the golden missing link. You may have read ebooks, watched videos, even attended seminars, possibly even very expensive seminars, about the strategies of making money online. But what they don't teach you is how to be a marketer. You may have even sat in the same room as someone who went on to become a massive success when you and all the others failed. Now that person heralds the seminar as being what started his success, and yet all the others failed with exactly the same knowledge. You must become a marketer. That's the bottom line. And if that provides an aha moment, you may be finally turning the corner. Or you may even now be deciding that maybe this isn't for you after all. And that's fine too. Many people want to make money online but have never considered or wanted to be marketers. It may seem like I'm stating the obvious, but it's so often overlooked, and it is essential. To try and build an online business without this realization is like trying to build a house in a swamp with no foundations. So what is a marketer? It's someone who sells or promotes something. In many ways, it is a different way of saying a salesman. When I was working for Xerox almost 50 years ago, the sales force had business cards printed and the job description was optional. Some had marketing consultant, some had business systems specialist. There were many different things that were printed on their cards, but on mine I simply chose salesman. I wanted people to know right from the start that I was there to sell them something, and even more importantly, I wanted to make sure I knew why I was there. I believe this small thing was one of the main factors in helping me become the top salesman with Xerox. The term salesman is misunderstood, and most people faced with the choice do not want to be salesmen. However, when it's understood that making a sale is a natural process of solving a client's problem, then I think that most people do want to help people solve problems. You take a problem, you solve it for somebody, and that equals cash. So, you need to have a success mindset. Be prepared to change, and you need to think like a marketer and appreciate selling as a way to help people solve problems. Having previous marketing experience may help you, but it won't guarantee your success. You'll need to learn and apply the knowledge you gained from this course along with a mindset that is geared to taking you where you want to go, regardless of any obstacles and setbacks. So, the big question is, how do you think like a marketer? I know that many of you will be asking that question. The bad news is it can take years to really think like a marketer, and it's not within the scope of this course. But the good news is that you can start thinking like a marketer today and continue the process as you're building your online business. The experiences you have during the building will help you see and appreciate the aspects of thinking like a marketer. First, ask yourself if you know how to think like a marketer. And if your answer is no, as it will be for most people, begin the learning process. At one point in my early career, I realized I was weak on the phone. I didn't like using the phone. In fact, I was afraid of the phone. So I went out and I got a job as a telemarketer doing telephone sales. I did it for about 6 months and eventually became one of the top salesmen in the company. So practice is a great way to learn. But I don't want or expect you to go out and get a sales job. You'll learn as you build your business. But far better to get a start and read some good books. Books such as How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This isn't really a book on marketing or sales, but it's a book that everyone should read. There are some others that I'm going to list that are basic sales books. Now I know you may think of more advanced options that are about and available today. But what you really need are the basics. Don't worry about the advanced stuff. All you need is that think like a marketer attitude in your head. Secrets of Closing the Sale by Zig Ziglar is an excellent book. How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins is another really good book. Selling for Dummies by Tom Hopkins is also another very good book. How to Sell Anything to Anybody by Joe Girard, and there's one here that I particularly like, The Irresistible Offer by Mark Joyner. Mark Joyner, for those of you who've not been around long enough, was the big name in internet marketing before people like Mike Filsame and Russell Brunson and that sort of era of people. And they became what they became because they bought Mark Joyner's courses and he retired and left the way open to them and to me and other people. So Mark Joyner was perhaps one of the biggest gurus online ever, and now the floor's been taken by other people. So secondly, you need to make a conscious effort to look at the world through a marketer's eyes. Start looking at the offers you receive from a marketing perspective. Instead of thinking, oh, here's another pitch on me, stick it in the junk. Look at it, see how it's constructed. Think about what's attractive in it. What do you think will help people to buy or will put them off buying? Look for the magic in everything taught and understand that one idea can make you $1 million. Be prepared to invest in your business and your future, not with blind faith or desperate hope, but with conscious evaluation of what you need to take the next step. When you look at the world through a marketer's eyes, you'll start seeing millions and millions of $1 million opportunities all around you. So, now that you know what kind of a mindset you're going to need, it's time to start developing a vision for business. And I'll be talking about that in the next lesson. As always, please post your questions and comments below. I'm here to answer them. And until the next lesson, God bless you.